Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Lancescurv Show. Just a thought. You know, we have many of us who rail against the system, the oppressor's system, the system that we're stuck in for the most part, like flies on fly paper. We rail against the system. We speak about how bad the system is, how bad we want to get out of the system, but it's a matrix that we're kind of stuck in on some level or another. I'm not throwing off on anybody, and by all means, I'm not saying this because I moved to the motherland, because I'll admit I'm very much stuck to this system. I've wiggled out a little more and in position to move out even further, but don't get it twisted. You move anywhere on this planet, you're going to be attached to the system. Unless you get totally off the grid, far out, somewhere far out. You better be ready to give up your internet. You better be ready to give up your computer. You better be ready to give up your smartphone. You better be ready to give up processed foods. You better be ready, pretty much, if you live in rough terrain, to even give up a vehicle. Maybe a motorcycle, maybe not. But how much are you willing to give up? That's the key. Now, in going through YouTube and other social media platforms, I really don't have much time to search things out, search people out, peep at people, look at people. You know my work ethic and you know my work rate, in addition to doing many other things with my life. So I don't have that much time. But when things pop up, I just find it so funny with the whole Hotep Negroes out here, the so-called conscious community out here. The very system they rail against and say they're trying to get away from, they're very dependent on that system. As much as they say they don't care about money, money's not their God, money is not something that's important to them, money is something that they cry over when they get it less and less. Of course not publicly, but they're very concerned. See, I'm in a state of mind where I'm ready to let it all go. I'm not there yet. I'm ready to let it all go, but I want a few test runs. I'm very honest about that. It takes time. But many people fly off with the mouth, but they're still very much trapped to this thing called money. For me, my goal is to live a life where I have less and less overhead as time goes by. That means paying to get out of the system, paying off where you dwell. It could be a small home somewhere. It could be a container home somewhere. Growing your own food where you don't have to get this GMO food from the supermarkets and the markets that are compromised and the farmers that are compromised. Taking your time and reducing the system's hold on your life. But many people run off with the mouth like they're already there. But they're still caught up in it, and they know it, but they'll never say it. With me, I'm caught up in it just as much as I've been before. Like I said, I'm in position to go further, better than if I was in America. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say I have my act together. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and rail against the system that I'm very much a part of and don't like its hold on me. So when we hear people on these social media platforms running off with the mouth, who are living double lives, who don't mean what they say and say what they mean. It's a facade. And what I don't like about that, because you can do whatever you want to do. What I don't like about that is that you're leading people in the wrong way. With me, I'm going to keep it honest with you every step of the way, even if you don't like the way I talk. I'm going to be honest with you, even if it breaks your bubble or whatever thought you had. In this particular time in history, we have to be very honest with others and very honest with ourselves. Because if we're not, the blood will be on our hand that we led our sisters and brothers to slaughter or to a worse situation. For some who want to come out to the motherland or maybe even go to another country, hopefully close to the equator, where it's the best land and temperature to grow your food. That's your choice. Make your decision. It doesn't have to be the motherland. It can be other places, because even here, there are 54 countries in Alkebulan, aka Africa. And each one has its own rule, its own politics, its own leaders, its own culture, lots of times its own language. It's vast over here. Just don't make a reactionary decision based on emotion, because that's how the car dealers get us. That's how the pastors get us. That's how those late night ads get us, that make us dig deep in our pocket to buy something that we really don't need. Be true to yourself. Be honest with yourself. If you don't want to leave America, fine. I'm okay with that if you're okay with that. Because there's a risk anywhere you go in this world, in this volatile time that we're living in. It really is. And for those of us who try to come off like we're prophetic, even they don't know. They don't know. They just want to kind of posture in that manner. And too many of us, especially as black people, are looking for the Savior. We're looking for the answer outside of ourselves. And again, I'll say it, and I'll say it until I turn blue. The answer is not outside of yourself, it's inside. That's where the answer lies. So you have some soul searching to do. You have some research to do. You have some questions that need to be answered. And it's from within. And if you come up with a vision for how you want to live your life, that's a great thing. I'm happy for you. But how can you make a move when you don't have a blueprint or a map, or even that vision of where you know where you want to start? Because we've been lied to so much. We're emotional about so many different things. We've got to scrub those things off of our being, because those things are very toxic to us. So before we make any other move, we must be realistic to ourselves from where we stand, where our blip is on the radar screen, to make a proper decision. But we can only make that decision once we're cleansed. That's the only time. Other than that, you're wasting your time. And other than that, you might jump into a situation that you wish you didn't jump into. I am very happy with the decisions I've made. I find myself in a good place. And for those who spoke negativity, I know what's going on. And like they say, even though I may not claim to be a Christian, there are many things in that Bible that are true. That same book where so many books were removed and it's been tampered. But certain things I know to be the truth. And like they say, your enemies will be made your footstool, and the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. So be careful how you spend your energy. Be careful how you plan and plot on the demise of those around you. You just might be plotting your own doom and death in a life that is non-productive and very much confused. Lancescurv out. Hit me in the comments. Let me know what you think. I love you all. Peace.